Okay, so my name is Anhelina. I'm 17 years old and I study in the Ukrainian Catholic University, and I wanted to answer a couple of questions. So I had to question number 15, and it is from Jenna, Lowry. How is your day-to-day life different and what keeps you going? So I want to give you a little backstory of myself. So I'm from the east-south part of Ukraine. So I live where there is occupation now. So I've been under occupation for 4 months. So I can tell you a little bit about that. So the war started when I was 16, and my city was occupied 4 days after the start of the war, which affected the whole of Ukraine. So I live in Berdansk, and it's been occupied since the 28th of February. Yes. So I was in the 11th year of school, and at the time I had offline classes because of the COVID breakout in my city, but I had classes that day, and I woke up at 4 a.m. and I was in shock, but I still had my classes. I had the first class and I had the second class, but the second class wasn't really a class. We were all in shock, and our teachers were shocked, and we didn't know what to do. So the teachers wanted to give us some kind of familiarity so that we wouldn't be as panicked. And I had math on that day. So I have a friend who is still in occupation, and she said that they had offline classes that day, and they went to school that day, and their teachers came for them. Their parents came for them, and they took them from school, and nobody knew what to do. So my routine wasn't as it had been before the war, and it wasn't as it should have been, because I didn't have any classes from March through May, and I didn't have a normal graduation. Those 4 days that I weren't in occupation, I was in panic. I had my brother and my mother with me, and we lived together. And then our city became occupied, and Russians were everywhere, and they threw away all our flags, and they went to some flats. They were searching for empty flats so they could live there, and they kidnapped some people, and it was really, really tough. Right now I'm going to this university, and I'm going to classes offline, but every other day we have air raid alert, which signals that we may have a rocket entering our territory, which can mean that our city can be bombed and we potentially can die from it. So and I have this friend that I was telling about, and she's still in occupation. She wanted me to tell you that her everyday life is very different, because they don't have air raids there, but they are occupied. And she has a flat in the city, Energoda. It has a nuclear plant in it, and so Russians are very fond of it, and they are currently bombing like regular people, just because they want to. And she has a flat in the city, and she has a home outside of the city. And when she comes to the city from the village, they have a block post there, and they're standing there with their pistols, and they are waving them. And yes, I can continue. It's my native city. I was brought up there. So it is kind of hard. So they see our people as though they're animals, and they were threatening my friend, and she's 16 years old. That is just inhumane. And I have my mother in occupation, and all of my family is either in occupation or is being bombed by Russians. So I have a family that my native city is on the other side of the reservoir, and on the second side of the reservoir there is Nikopol, and my family live under Nikopol also. So my friend has Russians, they put their machines to bomb the other side of the reservoir, like very close to her home, so she hears everything. So our Ukrainian people can hear that civilians are being bombed. So that is very hard. And I also want to answer to the other part of the question. So what keeps me going is that we are a nation which cannot be easily subdued. We have always been free-minded, and I keep going because I cannot bear the thought of Russia simply as a country which just invades other countries. We are not the first countries that it invaded, and they act as though it's okay, and it kills innocent people and diminishes us and wants to wipe us out, along with our language and our culture. So I lived in occupation, and we have the city center, and it is now with Russian flags, and it is on everywhere you can see. So I keep going because I want to outlive this war. I want to see my mom again. I want to see my friends again. And I also have cats with my mom there. I have 2 at home. I brought them from the occupation, and I also have 2 in occupation, and we have 2 dogs. And I have my mom there, I have my friends there, I have my grandparents there. I hadn't talked to them in months. I do not know what they think. They're really old. I do not know what they think. So, and there was the other question number 8. Do you feel safe? If not, what would help you feel safe? I do not feel safe. People in occupation do not feel safe. We do not feel safe. They do not feel safe because they do not know if Russians will want to bomb them or us. And they do not know that perhaps on that blog post they will have a change of mind and they will kill someone who just wants to pass to the city. And and we do not feel safe because we are being bombed. My brother lives in Kiev, and it is bombed now nearly every day. So, and my cousin lives in Zaporizhia, and it is being bombed every day. And I have family under Nikopol, and it is also being bombed like every day, a couple times a day. I had a relative coming from there, and she talked about it. It's awful. So what would help me feel safe? If Russia didn't exist, that would be nice. If we weren't bombed, that would be nice. If we had our territories free, if we had our people free, if all the people that were brought to Russia against their will would be brought back, along with the children. We have children in Russia who are being brought up by Russians. It is just awful. I cannot imagine what it is like. So if we could diminish Russia as it diminishes us, that would be really nice. If we could live freely and just exist. That's all.